in a matter of moments, but we'll talk about it with Greg Allman. What is realistic for the Buccaneers? What is achievable? What is attainable this offseason? We know their needs. How far are the Buccaneers willing to go in order to address those needs? We'll talk about it here on the opening drive, and Greg Allman, he'll join us coming up at 4:05. In the 5 o'clock hour, we've got Let It Ride. Are the Bucs still the favorites in the NFC South? What about next year for the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Who's the favorite to get in next year? Who's the first manager on the firing squad this year in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
I don't know either. That's why we're going to have Let It Ride coming up a little bit later on. We're going to let you know. We're going to play some wagers on all of this stuff. And then, ladies and gentlemen, in the 6 o'clock hour, USF men's basketball. They are on the upswing. They are ascending. They are now in first place in the American with a couple of weeks left to go in the season. They had a big road win at Wichita State last night. The head coach of the USF men's basketball team, Brian Hodgson, will join the show in the 6 o'clock hour. He'll be with us at 6:30. So I can't wait to talk to Coach Hodgson about the job that he's doing already with this USF men's program. It's really gratifying to watch. So that's what we're doing. We're on the air until 7 o'clock on this beautiful Let It Ride Thursday.
There's a show. That's a show.
That's a show. That's what we do. It's a show about nothing, but nothing is always something here. And that's what we do. You may think we're doing nothing, but we're doing something. Because guess what? You're paying attention. Whether you like us, that's great. Whether you hate us for whatever reason, that's fine too. You're not going to be able to please everybody. You are listening, and we certainly appreciate all of you for listening here on 95.3 on the FM side, the mighty AM 620.
I can hear you.
Thank you, Eric Neander, or listening worldwide through the iHeartRadio app. We'll talk some Rays baseball coming up in just a few minutes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we did some things here yesterday that caused quite a stir. That's usually what we do around these parts, right, Baker?
You're just trying to stir shit up.
Sometimes, yes. So, what are the realistic expectations of the Buccaneer offseason? We may have gone off on the deep end. What is truly attainable for Jason Light, Todd Bowles and company? That is the theme of our opening drive on this Let It Ride Thursday.
Tampa Bay Sports Radio presents the opening drive.
An impressive opening drive.
What an opening drive with TKras.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's going to get a little dicey in here, Coach. So yesterday, and I feel like I always need to explain everything that I do here. And what I do is I try and present different scenarios and try and lay out different layers of situations which could evolve. And maybe it's my fault because I just assume that people understand what it is that we do here. But apparently those assumptions have to go out the window. I have to explain every little thing. So that's what I'm doing here. I have to explain every little thing that is being said here, done here, proposals, scenarios that I'm laying out here. So yesterday, and look, this is a layered conversation. When it comes to the Buccaneers, we went off on the deep end. And if you're the Buccaneers, you may have to be uncomfortable this offseason at being comfortable, or comfortable about being uncomfortable. It's the other way around. Because the way of doing things may have to be tweaked slightly. I'm not saying completely change over everything you've been doing. I think Jason Light has done a really good job overall. Have there been some misses? Yes. Have there been some hits? Absolutely. I think there have been more hits than misses. And a lot of fans are pointing the finger at him because of Hassan Reddick and some things that took place. The injuries, not his fault. But when it comes to head coach Todd Bowles, I mean, they had injuries throughout the course of the season. They got off to a great start. They were 6-2. And where I start to blame Todd Bowles is when things actually got better from an injury standpoint. Like Mike Evans got healthier, Jalen McMillan got back, and toward the end of the season, Chris Godwin started to look a little bit more like the Chris Godwin of old. He's had 2 very serious injuries, and the Buccaneers still collapsed, losing 7 of their last 9. And Todd Bowles did what he had to do with the coaching staff. The Glazers said, okay, look, we're going to give you a mulligan. We're going to bring you back, but maybe some changes were implied. And Todd Bowles was forced to dispatch 5 members of his coaching staff. A couple of guys retired. And look, I think they got better from a coaching standpoint. They got better. Zach Robinson is an upgrade, I do believe, at offensive coordinator. Danny Smith is a big upgrade in terms of the special teams coach. I was really intrigued by the hiring of Chandler Whitmer, the guy who came over from Indiana University. They just won 16-0 and won the national championship thanks to Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback, the head coach, Kirk Cignetti. So Chandler Whitmer is here as an offensive assistant coaching up the quarterbacks. I thought that was a very curious move made by the Buccaneers. Now, yesterday, we talked about, obviously, the pass rusher situation. The elephant in the room is the front 7. And the Buccaneers are going to have to make a big push in order to improve themselves in that category. And Jason Light has said, and he told us right here last year when the Micah Parsons possibility came up, and Jason Light was like, I don't think so. You know, we've done a pretty good job of drafting, and I don't know if I want to give away a lot of day 1 picks, day 2 picks. We want to draft and develop, and usually that's the lifeblood of any NFL team. I know the Patriots had 28 new players, and they went crazy in free agency, and they got to a Super Bowl. They got some breaks along the way. But that is normally not the formula for building a football team. You build it through the draft. It's young, cheap talent. And if you hit on some of those picks, then you start to form the foundation of your football team. And the Buccaneers usually like to do it with team-first guys, leaders, high-character guys, not guys like James Pierce. And a lot of you were trying to blame James. How come we didn't draft this guy? We took another wide receiver. I bet you're not saying that now. Boy, oh boy. And Jason Light was right about that. He was off their board, and he should have been off their board. But now you've got a situation where the front 7's got to be upgraded. Number 1 need, pass rusher. By the way, number 1 need last year, going into the offseason, pass rusher. They signed Hassan Reddick. Didn't work. 2.5 sacks. He looked like he was on another planet at times. He got nicked up as well. It looked like he lost some burst. You know, the year prior, he kind of threw that season away because he held out until October. We've been through this, okay? And he's leaving. He's gone. He's not coming back.
You know what I mean? He's gone, and we couldn't do nothing
That's
about
it. Gone, and that's it. So Max Crosby. Every Buccaneer fan wants Max Crosby. By the way, he made some more comments yet today about what's going on with him. There's a lot of rumors out there, and, you know, he's sitting there and saying, listen, I don't know where these rumors are coming from, but I know what I'm doing. I know how I feel. I know what I'm thinking, yada, 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 and nobody else can tell me otherwise. So he's basically not acknowledging the fact that he may have told Tom Brady that he'll never play for them again, or he's upset and he wants out. So he's not coming out and saying all of those things. He's saying, I'm keeping everything to myself because people are trying to misrepresent me and what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. So I'm just not going to say much of anything moving forward. He said he's done. On the report that he's done with the Raiders, Max Crosby said, people like throwing gas on the fire. And here is his quote. People are going to have rumors. I just looked at my phone. I've been working all morning. Everyone's hitting me up. Did you say this? I can't control that. You earned that as a player. If I wasn't doing the right things and if I wasn't the person and player I was, people wouldn't be talking about all of the nonsense. But that comes with it. If you have drama, if you have a losing season, they just try to throw gasoline on the fire and make things a certain way. I know what I'm about. I know what I represent. I really don't care what everybody has to say. Crosby was also asked about his goals and said, winning is all that matters ultimately, but I want to be in a place where mentally I'm 100% myself. So that's interesting. And if winning is all that matters, you're not winning in Las Vegas, and I think he understands that. Even though they got a new coach in Clint Kubiak, they're about to spend the number 1 overall pick on Fernando Mendoza, they're not winning. They're not going to win with Max Crosby. Obviously, they're not going to win without him. So I think he's starting to understand that and realize that, and he's starting to process the situation that he's in. And I think sooner rather than later, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to hear more about how Max Crosby wants to move on from Vegas. And if he does, and we've been talking about this since the end of the season, he's the guy to pursue. But, I feel like I have to, say this out loud so that fans can understand, because we had a really interesting, intricate, detailed conversation about what it would take to get Max Crosby. Max Crosby is not going to come cheap. You're not going to get him for a 4th-round pick and Chris Braswell. That's not happening. And if Jay Glazer of Fox NFL Sunday is correct, and I spoke to him last week, he thinks it's going to be a bigger haul than Micah Parsons. And Micah went for 2 1s and Kenny Clark. So if you're the Raiders and you need help everywhere, and the Buccaneers call you, what do you think they're going to say? We want 2 1s and Kalijah Kancey, or 2 1s and Vita Vea. Right away, if you're a Bucs fan, you're like, oh, I don't think so. Let's counter with Chris Braswell. Really? Which is what I saw on social media yesterday. You must be out of your damn mind if you think that's going to get it done. So, if you're not willing to give up 2 1s and Vita Vea, 2 1s and Kalijah Kancey, then you have to get creative. So the conversation we had yesterday is about players that could be of interest to the Raiders, like Antoine Winfield Jr. 4 years, $84 million. Since he signed that deal, is he performing up to that high expectation? I would say not. Chris Godwin, 3 years, $66 million. Buccaneers re-signed him toward the end of the season. I thought he started to look a little more like the Chris Godwin of old. He's turning 30. He makes $22 million. He's got 2 years left to go on that contract. The Raiders could use some wide receiver help. They got nobody out there. So you have to try and get creative. Is it a 1 and Godwin? Is it a 1 and Winfield? What would the Raiders possibly want? So that is a conversation we got into yesterday. Now, I think I put this out there, Chris Mathis. Maybe you can tell me, since you're here and you have to listen to this stuff each and every day. But full disclosure, I think I said, I'm going to preface this conversation by saying all of this talk, and we're talking about cap hits and what the cap hits would look like. All I did was a deep dive into what it would take in case they, counteroffered and said, if you're not going to give us 2 1s in this, how about a 1 in this guy? How about a 1 in that guy? So I did a deep dive and saw the numbers. And the numbers indicate that, yes, it is doable. That from a salary cap standpoint, that's what you got to look at. A lot of people, because you play fantasy football, you think you can just make trades on a whim. It's a lot more complex than that. So that's what we were doing yesterday. I was looking at Antoine Winfield Jr. and his contract and what the cap hit would look like. Whether or not he's here or you trade him, the cap hit is flat. Flat. Godwin is a little bit of an advantage. So that's all we did here yesterday. Now, at the end of the day, and I think I said this yesterday, and it bears repeating because some people have a hard time listening. So let me say this again. I think all of this talk is obsolete. You want me to be completely honest with you? I don't think Max Crosby is coming here. You want me to burst your bubble and put it to you that way? As opposed to getting creative and finding out what it would take to get a deal done? I think at the end of the day, I don't think the Buccaneers are going to go and extend themselves and do something that they haven't done. Even though you need to be comfortable at being uncomfortable if you want to upgrade in a very big way. Max Crosby could be a game changer, but guess what? He ain't coming cheap either. And that's all I did yesterday was laying out different scenarios that could be realistic. But at the end of the day, folks, you want to know what's realistic? He's not coming here. How's that for realism? You want me to dash your hopes that way, or do you want me to get creative on here? Pick one. Jeez Louise. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. Gosh, that's all I was doing. Is it plausible? Is it realistic? It is not. It's not. And I don't think that Max Crosby is coming here. I would love to have him here. I think he's a wonderful player. I think he's a galvanizing player. I think he's exactly what the Buccaneers would need. But if the Raiders decide, and Max Crosby decided that he wanted out, the Buccaneers would not be the only team calling up their phone. I think there would be other teams who are closer to winning a Super Bowl, who feel like they're one player away, maybe like a Buffalo, maybe like a Baltimore. There are reports, and The Athletic had this out there, that Max Crosby wanted to play for New England and Mike Vrabel. So that would be an intriguing fit as well. So that's where we're at, folks. What is realistic? Trey Hendrickson, is that a guy at the age of 32? He is the number one free agent along the edge. You know, he had back-to-back years of 17 and a half sacks, but, you know, the core surgery, he's had some back issues. You're 32. You're going to pay $28 to $30 million? I don't think that that's worth pursuing, honestly. Then what? You're going to hold on to pick 15 and hope that a Cassius Howell of Texas A&M is a guy that emerges if you draft him or somebody else for that matter? That's what we're trying to decide. What is realistic this offseason? I don't think trading for Max Crosby is. And even though we were putting different scenarios out there, a lot of you, and it was interesting, like, it was very polarizing. Some Bucs fans are like, hell yeah, let's do this. Some are like, I can't believe you would even think of doing something like this. Well, how in the world are you going to get a guy like Max Crosby? You want to give up 2 ones in Vita Vea? It's very, very difficult to replace a guy like Vita Vea. Very. And 2 ones on top of that. But that is the exorbitant cost. I don't think that's a chance that Jason Light is willing to take from what we know. And that's where we're at. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. We'll talk to Greg Allman coming up at 4 o'clock. And, you know, he's got some interesting ideas. And I gave some realistic names yesterday in terms of pass rushers. You know, Boye Mafe from the Seahawks is a free agent. He's not going to cost an arm and a leg. Now, is he on that level? No, he's not. But he's a guy who is a part of a rotation up there. He might be interesting. Kayvon Chason of the Patriots is a free agent. I mean, you're talking about that's the next order of free agents. Joey Bosa, Boye Mafe, Chason. So those are some of the lesser names, if those names are satisfying to you. Or you can, you know, spend a little bit more and get something better. You know, the old saying in life, you get what you pay for, right? You know, you want a nice car, you're going out there, you're getting a used car from 10 years ago. It's not going to be as good as a brand new car with all the bells and the whistles and everything that you would want. That's kind of like where we are right now. All right, your calls and texts are upcoming. Greg Allman at 4 o'clock. Let it ride in the 5 o'clock hour. and USF men's basketball coach Brian Hodgson. He'll be with me at 6:30. It's going to be a great show all the way up until 7 o'clock. All right, when we come back, Eric and Nick, you guys will be up first. Also on the way, Ray's spring training is underway down in Port Charlotte. And some good news coming out of spring training, even on day one. And even more positive momentum, perhaps, for the new Rays Stadium. Details next.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
Guys, whether it's an injury, accident, product liability, medical malpractice, if you or someone you love happens to be injured as a result of someone else's negligence, you got to do what I did. I got hit by one of these nut jobs, injury, accident. My neck and my shoulder was all screwed up and everything else. I had to go to physical therapy. I called Catania, and they said, look, you get healthy. We'll take care of the legal side of it. And did they ever? They stuck by me. We achieved the best possible outcome. In our settlement case, they could do the same for you. They've been at this for 30 years. Almost $1 billion has been recovered by my guys for injury victims like you and me. I could vouch for these guys. So call them. Should anything like this happen to you or someone in your family, Catania, folks, tell them I sent you. 813-222-85.